Hey Aquarius. Hope you guys are doing alright. I'm over here shuffling your cards, obviously, but trying to connect with imagery that's coming up as I'm doing so. And what I've seen is the face of an axolotl, so like one of those Mexican dragon-looking water salamanders, those little fish, little aquatic cuties. And like the face kind of morphed into like a puppy. So I don't know if you're kind of connecting with the puppy love, like whether or not you're like actually bringing home a new family member, so to speak. I feel like there's an element of connecting with that unconditional love for something or someone that is deemed precious by you. Like, you can love this puppy even though it's expressing its bowels all over the house. Like, it's still perfect and precious and cute. Like that kind of energy, that unconditional, loving energy, no matter what deed or what act is committed by the object of adoration. Like they're perfect in your eyes no matter what. So I don't know if you're connecting with that archetype, whether like on the receiving end of that or on the giving end of that, or if that's even relevant for you, but I just wanted to mention that. So maybe keep that in mind, and we'll see if maybe it connects with the reading in some way, but I think these cards are done. All right. So our first card is going to be your significator card. Interesting. We have this 6 of coins. And that is the middle decan of fixed earth Taurus. So maybe look at your chart, see where Taurus is. But the 6 of coins to me represents like adequate compensation, adequate dispensation of resources, of money. Maybe there are new expenses that you're having to balance the budget for to kind of make sure that they're remaining in their appropriate bounds. Like if we're gonna go with the imagery that I was seeing earlier of like taking on a new pet or a new family member in some form, having to adjust your finances in some way to account for that. But in whatever form it's taking for you, like there's definitely like an adjustment, like a balancing of the books happening, just to make sure that the money is flowing in the appropriate places and not being overspent. For the energy around you, we have the 7 of Wands, and that is the last decan of fixed fire Leo. This represents an energy of feeling like you have to defend yourself against opposing passions, opposing opinions, opposing wills. Maybe in an environment, whether it's in the work or at home, where you're kind of feeling like you have to constantly defend yourself against antagonizers. Like no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you're always in the wrong and they're always coming at you for it. Maybe if you brought a pet home and you're trying to balance the budget, now you're having to defend that position. Like I brought this little puppy home, and there's nothing you can say that can make me, regret this, and I'm gonna defend my position until I die. Like I'm dying on this hill. This is part of our lives now, and that's that. Period. Doesn't have to be that, but just kind of a manifestation of that energy. For your first conflict, we have the Magician card. This to me is Mercury. But it's like learning. I don't want to linger on this too much, but like learning the consequences of your actions. Like you've utilized your willpower in a certain way to either buy something or welcome a new pet or go down a certain path, and having to weigh out the consequences of that, whether they're fiscal or related to resources, material resources in some way. And the conflict with the Magician is like learning that if you're going to actualize an idea that you've had, you need to be ready to contend with the consequences of what you've done in all elemental spheres. So you have the material effects, you have the emotional effects, you have the intellectual effects, and then you have like the impediments or supports that it has on your own ability to move within your life. Like, let's say we're sticking with this pet analogy. Let's say the impacts that it has on like your willpower and your ability to move in life are like literally you have something that you're taking care of at home. You can't just go travel now. You can't be gone away from the house the entire day without going back and making sure that you allow your dog out for a restroom break, or you go back and make sure the puppy's okay, that sort of thing. Like, there are consequences for everything that you're doing. So making sure that even though you feel like you're capable of something doesn't necessarily mean that the reality reflects that. And I'm not saying that if you've taken something new on that you're not ready for it. I'm saying you need to know that you're actually ready for it by actually doing the research, doing the work, to ensure that your decisions are informed and not impulsive. And, being ready to defend them if necessary. Having the inner tools necessary to do so, the inner and outer tools. In the past position, we have the Devil card. So this is a situation that you felt stuck or chained to. Maybe this is part of this process of taking something new on, of maybe feeling like you're defending yourself because whatever the situation in the past was with the devil, it's like you weren't able to think for yourself. You weren't able to make your own decisions. You weren't able to have a say in your day-to-day life. Like, it was under the control of someone or something else. And now that you have that control again with this Magician card here, it's like you're learning how to make your own decisions. You're learning how to contend with the consequences of your actions, and you're learning how to defend your position on things when met with opposition. It's like, I feel like this devil is potentially out of the picture, or maybe it's something that you're still fighting against, and that's part of what's happening in the present. Like, trying to gain your own material autonomy so that you're able to stand on your own and be your own magician, make your own decisions, and fight your way out of this devil situation. For the future, we have the Eight of Wands, which is like incoming communications, which can be potentially supportive to your cause. Could also be like the arrows of war is something that's also kind of connected with this card here, but it's the natural progression of the 7 to the 8. So you have the 7 of Wands moving into the 8 of Wands. And it's like all of these wands, these arrows, are aligned in the same purpose. Like, it's energy that's been braided together, maybe different people coming together and working together to solidify a shared purpose in some way. Like, maybe your act of defending yourself and asserting your position allows other people to understand where you're coming from, and then they see that, oh, you're actually right, so we're all going to move in the same direction together. But it could also just be like the reception of news about your current situation, or about an opportunity to get out of the current situation. Maybe if you're waiting to hear back from a potential employer or something, like that could be something. At the crown of your reading, we have the Hermit card, which is Virgo. And this is something that you're kind of aiming towards, something that you're wanting to... Oh, it started raining. Something that you have your goal. It represents your goal, basically your bullseye target that you're trying to aim for. And the hermit is representing very self-absorbed, but not necessarily like in a selfish way. Very self-contained, I think, is the word I was trying to go for. Where you're not dependent on outside influences, outside people for your fulfillment and for your own understanding. Like you're finding the resources, you're finding the knowledge, the wisdom within your own self. You're consulting your own conscience rather than relying upon others. And I think maybe that has something to do with this devil in the past. Like you're very much on a path towards autonomy, a path towards independence from this. And by kind of turning within into and embodying the hermit, you're discovering where your own personal limitations are rather than what limitations appear to be imposed upon you from the outside. Because I feel like once you find what your own power is, the limitations outside aren't going to matter. Like you're going to be able to bust the chain of, whatever this devil chained you to, like you're going to be able to break it because you have the strength within. It's just a matter of going within and discovering how much of it that you have and how best to utilize it. With this magician card being like the utilizing factor, like learning how to use the tools that you have available to you, learning how to use your own personal cunning, your own wits. At the base of the reading, we have the Three of Swords. I almost said Three of Cups. And that's the middle decan of Libra. But this represents heartbreak, of course. I mean, just inherent in the imagery. But also a situation where, if we're going to... I want to connect this back to the image of like the puppy and the axolotl, like this idea of conditional love rather than unconditional love. Like whatever happiness, whatever fulfillment, whatever social currency you were receiving in the past was very predicated upon certain conditions being met. You had to perform at a certain caliber in order to receive the emotional satiation. But it wasn't even like emotional satiation. It was like words, empty words that didn't really mean anything. And that's kind of motivating you out of this situation. Like this is what is at the heart of the situation. You wanting to leave that behind, not have to sit in that space anymore, not have to be chained to conditional lovers or circumstances that take more from you than they provide. For your inner influences, we have Temperance. And this is learning self-mastery. Specifically, one of the images that I'm getting right now is like somebody who's practicing yoga or some sort of physical exercise in order to tune into their body and find out where they feel strong, find out where they feel weak, and trying to kind of fall into a rhythm or a flow that allows the energy to kind of build up and grow and potentially be utilized later. Drawing on reserves that can be utilized later to enact change, to enact, to assert your own will and your own dominance over your own reality. Because I feel like obviously the running theme with this reading so far has been like learning to assert your own autonomy, your own sovereign individual right to be as you wish to be, rather than as others impose your being upon you. And Temperance is like kind of connecting with this hermit energy of like turning within and finding the inner resources, the inner mastery, learning the different movements. I'm hearing like the different choreographies that are necessary to unlock the lock. Like I'm seeing like a key being fashioned. Like you're learning the structure of the lock that's keeping you shackled to this devil, and you're crafting the key. Like you're learning how to craft the key yourself so that you can unlock and free yourself. For your outer influences, we have the Two of Wands. This is the first decan of Aries. There we go. You know, this is looking out upon the world as your oyster. This is seeing all the potential, just waiting for you to harness the willpower to bring it into being. You know, it's like you're seeing all the fertile ground that's just waiting to be planted. All the ideas and the drive is all within yourself, and it's just a matter of asserting it onto your reality, creating your reality and shaping it the way that you want it to be. It's that burst of energy in the beginning. You know, Aries performs so well at the start of things because there's that passion and that excitement of what it could be, of what it could become. It's just a matter of sticking with it, of being diligent and careful about how the energy is directed. You know, having strategy, like seeing the entire game on the board before it's played, like measuring out every potential move and moving according to the plan that you have in mind. For your hopes and fears, we have the King of Pentacles. This could represent you, but it could also represent another earth sign. Generally, it could just represent an energy of being very stable, very secure, very attuned to natural prosperity, attuned to the abundance inherent in every given moment that's, you know, physically there. Being knowledgeable about the tools that you have physically. Also somebody who potentially has mastered like martial arts. I'm hearing that as like a potential, like kind of connecting back to the temperance imagery that I was connecting with, like somebody utilizing a physical practice to attune themselves to their body and learn about themselves that way. Like this King of Pentacles is like the epitome of that, like the black belt, the master, who has worked out all the kinks, who has fully, you know, pushed or strengthened their weaknesses in a way that now they're able to move forward feeling confident in themselves and feeling able and adequate enough to make decisions that move the bigger, larger pieces in life, you know, and withstands opposition, withstands the test of time, and is even beautiful in a way. You know, the King of Pentacles is very aesthetic, very appreciative of the sensual inputs that come about from the environment, or that are experienced physically, sensuously. Like connecting with that energy is very much attuned to what the King of Pentacles represents. And if this is somebody else, it could be that you're hoping for this person to reach out to you because you feel that they have something to offer, something to teach you, to help you learn how to better defend yourself. Because I'm looking at how this is kind of lined up. You have the King of Pentacles over here. You have potentially you defending yourself over here. Then you have these messages, these communications, these aligned purposes, kind of between them. It could be that you're trying to reach out to this person, like you've outlined your goals and your desires and you've composed them into a text message or a letter or some form of communication, and you've reached out to this King of Pentacles in the hopes that they can help align with your purpose. And so naturally that's both your hope and your fear, because the fear is the antithesis of that, of like being worried that this person is just going to kind of disregard your attempts to reach out, or even like reject your advances could be like a potential thing. But if it's like an employer or something, or like a landlord, obviously being afraid that you're going to be turned down for the position of employment, or, turned down for the opportunity to rent out a space to live if you're like trying to escape like a living situation or something. So obviously this is like, it feels like high stakes, like somebody could represent that authority figure for you right now, if that's how it's manifesting for you. Obviously take whatever resonates as you will and leave behind what doesn't. For the final outcome, or rather I should say the likely outcome of the situation, just based on the present momentum and the decisions that you're making at the present, you have the Four of Swords. And this represents a state of rest and repose, recovery, meditation, sleep. This is like the end of the battle, where if you're leaving like a toxic relationship or living situation or job, if that's what all this has been kind of culminating from, this is like you finally being able to sit on the couch and like let the breath out, let all the stress out, feel the weight lifted off your shoulders because of the effort that you have put in, because of the approach to self-discovery that you willingly took upon yourself, the process of learning about how to navigate your life and how to be confident about how you're navigating, and how to move your body and to feel your body and to appreciate your body and to appreciate the space around you, to appreciate nature, to appreciate your work environment, to appreciate your social sphere, like just learning how to find confidence in every one of the cardinal directions of your life, where the cardinal supports your foundations. Learning how to feel safe within that, safe within your own skin, in your own home. And it's interesting, I'm looking at the interplay right here. I feel like this King of Pentacles is like acting as a foundation for this. Whether this is stability acquired through your own effort, and this represents an aspect of yourself, or whether it represents a supportive person that's coming in from the outside. It's like in some way they're acting as a foundation for you to be able to have this safe space of reflection and rest. So maybe this is like a message to like keep an eye out for this King of Pentacles if this doesn't represent you personally. Like it could be somebody that's willing to be supportive to you in some way. I do want to draw another card to clarify the King of Pentacles here. And we have the Hanged Man. Could be Pisces. But really what it represents is somebody who's kind of suspended their perspective of the world, their perspective of potentially a belief system, an ideology, anything. Like whatever it is, there's like a complete 180, a complete shift, a complete what's the word I'm looking for? Not contradiction, maybe contradiction, because that's the word that's like covering up the word I'm actually looking for. Compromise, like a complete compromise of their own values in order to understand a totally different perspective. Like maybe this King of Pentacles is having to not necessarily withdraw from their stability, but like remove themselves from it on some level, like even just like through visualization, if that's a thing. but like to try to understand a situation that's otherwise foreign to them. And they're being very patient, very like they're not being antagonistic. Like I've got my hands tied behind my back. I'm looking at this hanged man. Like you can come closer. I'm not going to do anything. Like I'm here, and I don't have a knife or anything behind my back. I'm just going to sit here and wait and allow you to do what you need to do. Because I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from so that I can know how best to support you. But if this just represents you and not necessarily like another outside figure, this can represent that you come to embody this King of Pentacles, security and stability and confidence within yourself, while remaining a little detached from it in some way, like maybe relating with it from a spiritual perspective rather than as like a totally in it, embodied, fleshy perspective, like you're not of this world type of approach. Like, I've escaped the situation, I've come to safety and stability and security and assuredness in myself and my own abilities, but I still acknowledge that I am different. Like, I am a changed person because of my experiences. Like, I have different perspective on things than any other person might in my particular situation. And allowing that hard-won wisdom and experience to remain as a part of your experience. Like maybe also taking the time to reflect on where you've been and how far you've come, like meditating, just sitting and being present with all the feelings that come up, allowing yourself to shed any tears if necessary, allowing yourself to just feel into the reality, feel the weight of the reality, and just be present with it for a little bit. Because, suppressing and rejecting those feelings is just going to hinder you further down the line. So it's best to just feel into it. Maybe that's also part of the physical practice if that's what you're taking on, because that can be really helpful, like doing yoga, tai chi, martial arts, anything that's moving your body, even dancing, will help to kind of unlock, I don't want to say hidden, but like feelings that have been kind of embodied. Because I almost said physical emotions, but really that's how it is. Like, our emotions are stored in our body, and when we do certain movements or even certain breathing exercises, even, we can unlock the latent feelings that have been kind of stored and tucked away within our flesh. It can be really profound, and maybe something that you are being invited to explore through this message. So I'm trying to see if anything else wants to come through. I think that's all I've got for this reading. Hopefully it helped provide some clarity or some representation for you. Let me know in the comments if there's any overlaps or, anecdotal stories that you have that connect with what the tarot is kind of mirrored today. But yeah, I wish you the best. I hope everything is going well. I hope you're in a safe space and that you feel appreciated and in tune with your own power, your own abilities as a person, your own worth as a person. Like you're capable and you're worthwhile. So don't forget that. Okay, wish you the best. I am letting everyone know I'm sticking with a monthly reading schedule for the 12 zodiac signs. And this is not a round of the monthlies that I'm putting out right now with this particular reading. This is actually an attempt to do bi-weekly readings, but the schedule was kind of thrown off course, so I'm trying to get these readings out now, even though they're late. And as soon as I finish this round, I'll begin the next monthly readings series. So yeah, stick around for that, and wish you all the best. See you around.